Hey guys, it's Anne-Marie. I'm putting my makeup on. Again, don't worry, I'm not going to just do a little flash screen and all of a sudden there's this magical unicorn here or whatever. I wanted to just share some stuff. So usually I feel the moon's cycles and various things ahead of time. And even though today there's, I think, a new moon, and everyone, I've seen all these videos about preparation and do all these things. Well, I was feeling it. I was doing a lot of purging the last couple of weeks. And I didn't even realize at the time that's what it was. And my emotions were up and down a roller coaster. And this is what's been happening. And I'm sharing it with just the hopes that it may resonate with some people and for them to realize that they're not alone. Because this has been a very, when I say lonely, doesn't mean I'm a lonely person, just a lonely journey. And the thought of I was the only one processing these things was just a very lonely feeling. And true to my nature, I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. And so maybe this may help somebody. So what I haven't talked a lot about, and I will refrain from it until I'm fully at that point to do it, was my childhood. And the more I connect with Mother Earth, the more I meditate, the more I heal on other things, the more Spirit shows me what I asked to see. Again, I keep telling people, be careful what you ask for. Because then I started having memories and flashbacks and dreams of going to a lot of places as a child, but not with my family. Going to Colorado, Florida, Cape Cod, Virginia, just to name a few. One of the times I remember specifically being pushed down in the back seat so nobody could see me. And so these last couple weeks, week or two, I have really been processing those half pieces of information. I've kind of known my whole life that something happened when I was a child. And because I'm no contact with any of my family, and that was my choice, because I cannot sit there and smile in people's faces and have the luxury of not remembering my childhood, because it's affected me my whole life. And now I understand why everybody tried to have blinders on and then tried to create this false narrative and gaslight me and manipulate me my whole fucking life. I am not going to make assumptions on those people who were supposed to protect me and look out for me on every occasion, on every turn, who idly sat by and watched and knew about it, or even had their friends come and be a part of it. That's not my job, nor that's not where my energy is going to go to determine that for other people. I guess I'm still working through some of the anger and resentment because I don't have that luxury not to remember my childhood. But I think that's why people try to keep me sick and stuck my whole entire life, is so I wouldn't remember. Look at that fly out of nowhere coming here. Look at you, monitoring spirits. Look at that fly. Galaxy, come get this fly. I'm like, randomly. It's like early in the morning. There should be no flies in the house. Anyway, and it's a lot to process. Because, I don't just talk about healing our inner child and listen to your inner child. I'm doing it as I talk about it. And I talk about the barriers I face and the roadblocks, and how I feel about something today may change tomorrow based on new information or new downloads or whatever. That's the joy of growing and taking responsibility and understanding and all of those things. I just can't believe my whole entire life I believe that there was something innately wrong with me because of how everybody was treating me. You know, I now realize that all I wanted was for somebody to see me and believe me. Because let me tell you, I told many, many times about what was happening to me. Many times. Oh, she's just trying to get attention. That's what was told to me when I was put into an adolescent unit when I was in 8th grade, when I reported, that was actually going into 6th grade, when I reported my dad's W-2. This was before he married W-2, but her son lived with us and was inappropriate with me, and I reported it. And my consequence for that was my father giving custody up of me and marrying her, in which I didn't hear from him until after he divorced her, pretty much. He would try to see me, but I'm not going to even go into that. I know what was told to me, but I'm just going to leave it there. For some reason, I still have respect for people who never have showed any respect for me, because that's just who I am. However, I'm not going to be pushed in the corner and be quieted. I think I've shown what happens when people do that to me. Because my point of sharing things is for healing and not to harm people. My intentions are pure. But there are so many adults I see walking around that have no idea that they're not. I'm not saying we don't have our own issues. They're not the problem. I grew up my whole life just wanting to be seen, just wanting to be heard, just wanting to fucking be believed. And not disregarded at every fucking turn. And so the deep healing work, what people haven't seen, especially these last couple years, is that in order for me to truly honor my inner child, I had to show up for myself. I had to believe in myself, even when everybody around me who said they loved me thought I was crazy and would go and talk behind my back or create more problems. I just never understood when you see someone who's hurting or in a very deep space or a dark space that they needed nurturing, and that was actually your purpose, to nurture, and you created more harm and trauma for people, for someone. And I didn't realize this, all this until, this last year or two, and how I was just looking always for something outside of myself to see me, to believe me. And I got to a point when I was like, I don't even give a fuck, because I know it's true. And how I know is because thanks to all the people who triangulated me, the narcissists, the fake prophets, all the lies, people causing me to lose jobs, housing, all the things, you know what you guys are doing. It forced me to be by myself. But what a lot of people didn't realize, since they didn't know me at all, because nobody truly knows me, because I never could show up fully authentically as myself. But what they didn't know was that I've spent most of my time by myself throughout my life. I was, singled out when I moved school systems, and throughout all high school. And, it didn't matter whatever arena I was in. I've always kind of been like, pushed out to the side and disregarded. So it was a blessing of everything that happened, because it forced me to just be by myself. I literally had no food in my house. I had no utilities in my house. And it was just me and spirit and my ancestors. And that's where I found my own validation. That's where I truly started to honor my inner child. Because I always have conversations like, do you feel safe in this? Do you feel protected in this? You know, because I want to honor her because no one protected her. At every turn. And it continued to happen as an adult, unbeknownst to me. And again, this is nothing about anybody else. This is about me and how I processed it and how I was able to come out of it. And I'm still coming out of it. The more things are revealed to me. I know now why Spirit didn't immediately show it to me, because there's no way I could have handled it. Let me tell you what. There's no way I could have handled it. And so it's been pieces of this childhood that seems unreal. And so now when I talk to her, my inner child, she still says to me, why do you keep being around people who blow you off, who don't honor you? And they show it in many ways. People not honoring and respecting us is shown in so many ways, and they're very subtle sometimes. If you know, you know. And so, and that's what's been hard, is that, one, I don't need to explain myself why I removed myself out of your life. You know why I did it. And if you don't, it's not my job to inform you. I am no longer going to be around, I don't care what it is, anybody or anything that doesn't respect who I am. You don't have to believe me. You don't even have to subscribe to what it is that I represent. That doesn't matter to me at all. But you're not going to disrespect me. And in order for that to happen, I have to allow someone into my energy. So this is why I'm very particular about letting anybody into my circle, my energy. Because I'm not going to sit there and go back and forth and let someone gaslight me, knowing what I know, because I just know things. That's one of my amazing abilities. I just know. Don't know how, but I just know. I mean, I know how, but I just know. And that's when I just kind of removed myself quietly. The old Anne-Marie would make a big deal about it. You're doing this and you're doing that and da-da-da-da-da-da. Because I wanted to be seen and heard. I wanted to be validated for what I was feeling and thinking. Now I don't need that validation. I don't need to explain why I'm setting boundaries and why you're no longer in my life. We do have choices. And they're not always the choices we want, because we want people to love us and accept us and all those things. And we all know that people can only love and accept us and meet us as far as they've done their own work. And that's okay. But where I'm at in my stage of my life, I can't have anybody, not one single person in my energy that invalidates me. I know what I can do, and I've seen some shit. And I know my value, and I know my worth. And it's not my job anymore to get anybody else to see my worth or value, because I don't seek it outside of me. My inner child wanted me to do this video, and that's why I did it. So I didn't do multiple takes, obviously, because look how long it is now. Honor yourself. Ask your inner child, what's going to make you feel safe and secure in this situation, in this or in this? Are you getting into relationships, jobs, connections that are trauma bonds? And you think you have a connection with someone because we're so connected. Or are you bonding over trauma, familiar stories? I saw that a lot when I ran the family program at a domestic violence shelter, that the women would, connect and, form these friendships, but it was out of a common denominator of abuse. And what would happen is they would perpetuate the cycle of trauma and trauma bonding. So be mindful of that, especially when you're doing inner child healing and really honoring yourself, because sometimes it's not the connection. It's the trauma you both experienced maybe in your childhood or different parts of your life that you're bonding over, that you haven't healed from. I hope that you're healthy and happy, full of joy. May you love and be loved, heal so you don't harm. Have an amazing week.